Everybody, please stand, begin with a prayer. God of our fathers, in whom we trust, for whose guidance and grace nation born.
E tu aroha na tu maonoa na tu aroha I hau mai ia Aotearoa.
Bless these councillors of Upper Hutt and give all things needed for their faithful discharge of their responsibilities.
Whakapainga mai mātou ko nā mai whakatiki, ho mai ki mātou nā mai pai. Kia arataki ai tau mātou mahi, nia mahi, he hapai aki, he tia hapuri.
Give to each good health and good judgment for the decisions to be made, wisdom beyond our own and a clear understanding so that we may promote thy glory and the welfare of all in the city.
Ho mai ki tine, mā mātou, tia ronga pai, mā tia po katoa, pai hoki, kia whatoko ai ti tikanga, nā māturanga tutu, I hoi tia māturanga. Kia ki tu a kore mi, tia a ronga, o tia korea roto ai a.
Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Hoa hu kratai ti mātu ki amen.
Thank you. Begin the council meeting of the 25th of September. Just emergency procedures. Please make sure everyone turns their mobile devices off or to silent. Toilets are out here on the right as you come out those doors. And we need a fire exit out there on the right. We'll follow the stairs down and assemble out on the green patch out the front. There's an earthquake. Sorry? In the event of an earthquake, drop, cover and hold. And in the event of emergency, officers will provide instructions so you can follow the CE here, Jeff Swanson. And if anyone requires any assistance, can you please let us know and we will make sure that you're assisted. Before we move to just going through for the last 6 weeks, we on the 15th of August had the opening of the Beechwood Lane Bridge, and on the 18th we had the Multicultural Festival at Whirinaki Whare Kaanga. On the 22nd of August we had the Gold Awards, where we were involved at Hutt City and go figure in the Emerging Gold Products Award category, where Greytown Distilling Company won. We also had the opening of the various bowling clubs, Upper Hutt and Silverstream, in the last few weeks, along with the Trentham Rifle Club. And just last week we had a very successful evening at Ferguson and Beard, where they had a fun night and had a large crowd there. And also we congratulate the new Maori Queen, and we'd also like to acknowledge the passing of the Maori King, who passed away on the 30th of August. So if we'd like to stand, please. Thank you. We acknowledge his reign as Maori King. Apologies, there are no apologies, but we do have two of the councillors, Councillor Holderness and Councillor Carey, who are online. Welcome. And also for item 5, we have Dave Randy from Berkel. Any declarations of interest or any changes, please let governance know. Deputy Mayor Slavs.
Your Worship, I think because of the content of the meeting that we've got here, I think with regard to conflict of interest, I would like us to go around the room, because there's a perception that maybe there might be a public conflict of interest. So I'd like to register publicly that I have no conflict of interest in any of the items that are on the agenda.
Does the council would like to, you want to declare?
No conflict, Your Honour. Your Honour. Your Worship.
Your Worship, I have no conflicts.
You should. No conflict, please.
Your Worship.
No conflict.
I have no conflicts.
I have no.
I have no conflict. Okay, let's now move on to.
So online.
Oh, okay, yeah. Councillor Carey.
Yeah, no conflict, your worship.
Councillor Holderness?
No conflict, your worship.
We now move to the public forum, and we have, I think, six speakers tonight. And first is John O'Malley, and you have 5 minutes, John.
I actually have a bit of a copy here of the summary of what I'm actually saying. I don't know if I've got enough for everybody who's interested. Probably not because I ran out of paper, but I do know somebody likes to read it. Kindly obliged. Thank you. All right. Okay, Mayor and councillors, thank you for the opportunity once again to meet with you. With reference to PC 49 variation 1, I request that you adopt the independent panel's recommendation as per paragraph 612A recommendation unreservedly, and that the spur becomes an open space and the Silverstream Spur SNA, to the extent that it's not already, becomes a permanent feature in our city. I have expressed my request in this manner as I've been unable to get clarification on the current legal status of the Silverstream Spur SNA. I hope you can please tell me what in law is the status of it. I don't know whether the process, it's partly in the process, but I can't find confirmation it's actually gone through the full circle of legal events. I'd hope some clarification you can give me on that. The point is, if the Guildford Timber Company finds the panel's recommendation is unacceptable, they have the statutory right to appeal to the Environment Court, and that's the proper course of action for them. Section 10 of the Local Government Act 2002 requires you to serve the community interests. It does not empower council to advance the commercial interests of private developers for the benefit of their commercial interests over the requests, needs and expectations of local communities, i.e. us. It should be irrelevant to you that the government's making prickling noises about revisions of the LG Act yet again, and which may or may not occur. The changes set out in the independent panel's recommendation should be implemented forthwith under existing law, and that's all you should be considering. The status of the law as it is today is the only authority you have. To delay implementing the panel's recommendations in the hope that it may be possible to avoid at some future date would be a betrayal of the entire process, and I put it to you, an action of deceit. For 20 years I've lived next to the Spur, and the residents of Pinehaven and Silverstream have opposed its commercial development and roading requests. Let's not forget the original acquisition of the Spur was for a reserve, that is community social activities and wellbeing. Various councils over the years regrettably have conflicted with the communities of Silverstream and Pinehaven, who consistently oppose its commercial development. It's time to end the conflict and open the door to the recreational functionality the Silverstream Spur offers. And as regards a past history of the council in these sorts of matters, I invite council to take notice of the wisdom of PC 15, if my numbers correctly, I think it was correctly dealt with flooding, where a couple of councillors decided they thought they knew better than the consultant's report, and ended up the council costing hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees and no win at the end of it. And that's a situation you must not get into as regards this situation. Don't repeat history. You haven't got the money. We're struggling with what we've got now, and we don't need to make the lawyers any richer than what they already are. Learn the lessons of history. Those who don't make the same mistake twice. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Jason Durry from Silverstream. Can I just remind speakers that this is about a plan change, not about the Guildford subdivision. This is about plan change from residential to open space. Okay, Jason.
Silverstream Railway and its individual members who made submissions and appeared at the hearing and presented detailed ecological evidence at the reconvened hearing. I'd like to thank the commissioners for the work they have done in producing their detailed report and recommendations. At all times during both parts of the hearing, we felt we were both listened to and heard, which made a pleasant change from what we have become accustomed to when lobbying for the protection of the Spur. We urge you today to follow the recommendations as outlined in the report. It would be great to complete the wishes of previous council staff and elected representatives who undertook in 1989, 1992, 1994, and 2001 to do what you now have the opportunity to do again. You need to set aside the scaremongering that the removal of road provisions will foreclose the now obsolete southern growth area, not helped by the thinly veiled threats of walking away or legal action and the courier letters seeking to instruct council to pause the process that the community has worked patiently through. It's time to let GTC stand on its own 2 feet and find their own way to realise their dream without the secret backroom dealings which have recently been fully exposed with the real or perceived conflicts of interest that those meetings have created. It is also time to level the playing field, start talking openly and honestly with the community about the Spur's real future. For example, why is the council using outdated housing sufficiency data when dealing with this one issue? To try and make it seem like the extinct southern growth area is needed, referring to the HBA data contained on the Southern Growth Area webpage and in the press release for the fast track support letter amendment, but rightly using up-to-date data when referring to other matters. Same goes for when we ask to meet with council staff about our ideas and aspirations for the Spur. These things get ignored, even when they deal with urgent matters of safety, requiring countless follow-ups, then deathly silence, while GTC have what is perceived to be open access to closed-door meetings. We hope that your decision today will herald a new era for the Spur, with transparency and openness at the forefront between the entire council and all parts of the community on this matter going forward. We look forward to getting the right result for the Spur and the community that cares for it, with a strong desire to work with council to further restore biodiversity and realise its true potential as a real asset for our city. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Swires?
Thank you for coming along and speaking, and this is obviously not your first time to speak to us about this particular issue. But when I go through some of the submissions that were given and presented to the commissioners through there, some of them were out of scope and not applicable. So it's really good to see that some of the submission material that you presented was out of scope, but you're still happy with the decision that the recommendation that they were given us.
Yep. I'm sure they would have read it. That's all we asked them to do.
Absolutely. So no, I just wanted to check that because some of the submissions were out of scope or not applicable, that you're still really comfortable with the result that they landed at. Okay. Particularly you, because you've always come and spoken to us about it. So thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Healy?
Thanks, Jason. You'd like us to accept the panel's recommendations in full?
Any other questions? No? Thank you. Thank you, Jason. It's Mary-Beth Taylor.
Today's day. This has been a very long, hard road that we've been down to ensure the highest level of protection for the Silverstream Spur as a natural open space. It's cost the community and the council a lot of time and money to support the pathway to the positive recommendations the commissioners that we have been given. They have clearly recommended that the Silverstream Spur be designated as natural open space, and I can totally support that. The commissioners have also clearly recommended, with many layers of supporting evidence, that variation 1, the provision to enable a road through the Spur, be deleted, full stop. I totally support that as well. It's cost council and ratepayers hundreds of thousands of dollars and more to pay for our city planners, legal counsel, ecologists, research to produce the material for these hearings. That's money we could really not afford at this time or the years before to spend, but it's money that had to be spent in order to protect our precious community land. The community wishes to thank the commissioners for sincerely hearing and seeing us, each and every one of us, and they told us so after our submissions, for incorporating our voices into their recommendations. Their report is fair, balanced representation of our submissions, and we appreciate their professionalism and honest feedback. However, we cannot overlook the concerning matters between GTC, our mayor, and our CE around the spur that were exposed by a series of Lagoima requests earlier this year. These incidents created the perception of bias and predetermination of the outcome of PC 49 variation 1 hearings. Remember the secret meeting between GTC, our CE, the mayor, the end of April, closed door, no agenda, no diary, no minutes. Remember the letter of support from council to fast track Guildford's plans without councillor knowledge and approval?
Could I
Remember-
just interrupt here? This
No, you may
council,
not. I am
could I-
speaking now.
this council had approved prior to that a fast tracking of
I am
that.
speaking now. Remember the 13th of May special couriered hi, Jeff and Wayne letter from Guildford's that pressured council to get things back on track for them? What does that mean? Remember the same letter in which GTC proposed to pause the Plan Change 49 Variation 1 process? And remember the CE's email to councillors the very next day in which he mentions a possible pause in the process. There is not now or never was any place for a pause in the PC 49 Variation 1 process. To the community, these incidents, these things look like betrayal. And they just feel very, very wrong. So it's been a tough struggle over many years, but there have also been positive outcomes. It's motivated the creation of new networks of community support for the natural environment of our city. We now feel confident and strong in our groups to stand up to protect our special environmental taonga for future generations. So now I trust that you, our elected representatives, will represent us. And you will also feel confident and strong enough to fully support the recommendations, all the recommendations of the commissioners and the local community. So please accept the objectives, policies, provisions, and rules for Plan Change 49, Natural Open Space, as set out on pages 906 to 913 of the agenda. Please vote in favor of the deletion of Variation 1 from this plan change. So after many years of hard work, it's time for you, councillors, to do the right thing by your community. Please approve all of the panel's recommendations to designate the Silverstream Spur as natural open space and delete any site-specific provisions. Thank you. I'd also received questions on Plan Change 47 if you have.
Any questions? Councillor Swales.
Thank you, Mary-Beth, for coming along. I just have a question with regard to the ECNAs that the three commissioners put there, that between the two ecological reports that were given to the commissioners, they agreed that there was a portion that was going to be designated as an ECNA, but not the whole. So you're still comfortable with the portion that they've agreed that will be on the open space and that portion that's going to be the ECNA?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
So-
the entirety of the spur at this point is
It's not as,
SNA.
no,
But
it's
the
not.
portions that they discussed and agreed on, yes.
There's a small portion only that they will recognise as an ECNA.
Small portion.
Yeah, so
Show
they,
me maps.
they
Because I'm
are
not-
there in the,
Yeah, are you referring to the maps in
yes.
the agenda? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that at this point. And we'll get better as time goes on.
Any further questions? No, thank you.
The table you're talking about?
Now
I'd like to
move
table my document.
Okay.
I've given it to Lisa. Thank you.
to Blissett.
Right.
Kia ora everyone. I'm not going to repeat my submissions, so I've just got some key words to follow on from. I have to say, the commissioners actually helped make us understand what it's like to be actively listened to, and it's one of the things that I'd really like to. So my key word today is whakarongo, which is to listen. And I think that it would be nice to just to feel a little bit more supported, because we speak and we're non-paid. And so we read the documents that you read, and we are so passionate about what we come to defend. So just a little bit of mindfulness there. Now, whenua, sorry, I talk fragmented, maybe you can't notice. Whenua means placenta and land. and we are connected to the land. So ko te whenua, and te whenua ko. Papatua Nuku speaks, and it can be quite frustrating because our trees are protected until they're in the way, and then suddenly they're of absolutely no value, and we remove them quite easily. The relationship we have, I know this sounds a bit off track, but my father always sung a song called On Elk More Bartat. If you go to the moors without your hat, there's a chance you die of cold, the worms will eat you, the ducks will eat the worms, and we eat the ducks. But there's a cycle, I just want to remind you all, there's a cycle of life. We are connected to the fields. The other one was languaging, and this pertains more to 47. All our languaging regarding Papatua Nuku is different. So we talk about risk, hazards, danger. Actually, we're the hazard, we're the risk. The land doesn't hurt herself, she affects us. And so I'd like to actually start shifting that paradigm there. Let's recloak Aotearoa, not decloak. I think it's time we started recloaking. Now I've just got, so this is a picture of Aotearoa before human beings arrived. Any human beings, even the indigenous people of today. And this is Aotearoa during the 1840s. Okay, so we're not perfect, none of us are perfect. But I've actually got, sorry, and I'm not tech savvy, so hopefully it won't be too long. Now this was taken 2018. I know it's not the greatest picture. That's 2018. That's 6 years ago, and we've removed more since then. So that's oh sorry, Roz, I haven't shown you any of them. I know. Okay, so I just wanted to say, think about holiday destinations. People go to places like Queenstown, Tongariro, Fiordland. What if Upper Hutt was an ecological holiday destination that was accessible to many? We're only a stone's throw from the capital. Let's pause and completely rethink our design. And so I'm supporting the recommendations of the commissioners regarding variation 1 of Plan Change 49. Thank you.
Councillor Newell.
Your Worship, I'd just like to start by saying, Heather, I really appreciate your positivity and the creative way you always approach us. So just expanding a little on your feelings about Spur there. And its potential for tourism. What kind of tourism do you think we might encourage out of that?
I'd like to see more active tourism rather than mobile tourism. I'd actually like to see any paths being walkable paths. Cycleways possibly, I don't know, I haven't really got that far, but definitely no motorised vehicles. I'd actually like to see the Spur completely recloaked.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move to Don Skerman.
Presenting a PowerPoint presentation.
Will we got that?
Yes, tēnā koutou katoa. I wish to express my support for all the recommendations of the panel, adding the Silverstream Spur significant natural area within the boundaries that were recommended by the Council's ecological experts, the Old Border, which is what the panel was recommended, and to rezone all the Spur as natural open space, to delete the clauses relative to infrastructure or roads on the Spur, to make an amendment to protect the biodiversity values within the SNA and add a new definition for the biodiversity offset. On the map here, there's a red line coming up from the bottom with an arrow, which is superimposed on the map, and that's from Guildford's PC 50 submission. That's their so-called main road, and the green outline there shows the boundaries of the SNA. And you can see the red arrow is heading straight for the SNA and needs to pass through some part of the SNA in order to get down to 44 Kiln Street, which I've also arrowed there on the right-hand side. The pink outline is the Guildford proposed general residential area, and the yellow lines are 20-metre contours on the from the Up Hut Explorer website. My objections to a road and other infrastructure on the spur are, firstly, it's not necessary or desirable for recreational use of the land. There are environmental impacts, particularly splitting the forest in two and hindering wildlife migration, and also the loss of the buffer to the more mature forest on either side. There's a visual impact on the landscape. The development that it's intended to service is not needed for at least 30 years. The additional water reservoir that's talked about shouldn't be located here at an elevation considerably lower than what the proposed development is. There'll be a financial liability for ratepayers, and there's adverse effect on traffic in the Silverstream Pinehaven area. The next slide is a few photos through what it used to be a road and is still shown on topographical maps. It's largely now narrowed due to regrowth to just a walking track, and there's a lot of native tree seedlings coming along there, particularly after the predator control has been implemented. The next slide shows some photos roughly in the area of the Paper Road, which is an extension of Kiln Street. And again, this area in particular, there's a lot of mature trees and also a lot of native trees coming up various heights, and north of that SNA is pine trees, so the boundary seems to be in the correct place. Just as far as financial considerations for ratepayers, the council asked for feedback on increasing the level of developer contributions in the long-term plan, and that was overwhelmingly supported by submissions, with a lot of comments saying that developers should pay the full cost of any new developments. The GDC submission talks about a special developer agreement to reduce their costs for the development. And any council investments in infrastructure on a risky greenfield development such as this could become stranded assets and require ongoing maintenance costs for ratepayers. A question comes to my mind is, if Guildford were to fund the construction of the road, could they then deny the public access to it only for residents, and who pays for the ongoing maintenance? And I guess this is out of scope, but I guess the further submissions to GTC submission on PC50 will give some idea of the support in the community for or against this the development this road was all aimed at serving. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Any questions? Don? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will last speaker, but we'll extend public. Second, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's been carried now. Our last speaker is Pat Van Berkel.
Tēnā koutou, Mayor and councillors. I am one of the many, I appreciate the opportunity to speak at this wonderful occasion on the designating of natural open space in Upper Hutt. This is a bit bizarre calling it open space, but I guess we all know the secret now. Open actually means forested. I'm one of the many passionate community members who care about our natural spaces, as we care about our democracy. The road to get to this point has not been easy, but I'm glad that the democratic process has enabled us to get here.
I thank the staff of the council for hearing community concern about the incompleteness of Plan Change 49 and consequently prepared Variation 1. Even though that significantly lengthened the plan change process. And I thank the commissioners of the independent hearing panel who have produced the detailed recommendations in Plan Change 49 and Variation 1, in particular on the Silverstream Spur. Their deliberations have been extensive, rigorous and fair. I do not agree with all their decisions, such as they are taking a narrow view of the timeline for the natural regrowth on the spur. They just focused on how it is now and ignored the fact that trees grow. And they didn't extend the SNA areas particularly, but they were constrained by legislation, so I understand why they made the decisions that they had. Nevertheless, I do think that Kiingi Street, the Kiingi Street paper road should have been included in the open space. I will continue to pursue that with you. There are still some democratic mysteries of this whole saga. Why did you, Mayor, consider that the public had such little interest in the future of the spur that you would enter into a memorandum of understanding with a private developer regarding the spur without a public discussion? I hope you and all councillors now appreciate that the spur is in fact a significant amenity landscape, that's another phrase you might recognise, that frames the exit and entrance of Upper Hutt, and that the spur is a key component of the ecological corridor linking East George Memorial Park and beyond to the biodiverse, the extraordinary Wainuiomata mainland island. If you don't know this, you need to know this. We have got this jewel, albeit on the edge of Upper Hutt, but this Silverstream Spur is part of the connection between the rest of Upper Hutt and Wellington area and that mainland island. And another mystery, given on page 385, the council decision to remove the spur as open space in 2001, sorry, not remove, to rezone the spur as open space in 2001. How come subsequent planning maps showed the land zoned as general residential and general rural? No council decision has been revealed that rezoned the spur, having in 2001 said it was open space. Somehow magically it became general residential and general rural. We, the community, could have saved an enormous amount of energy and anguish if this mysterious change had not occurred. Mysteries aside, Mayor and councillors, you now have the clear recommendation from the commissioners to zone the Silverstream Spur as a natural open space. Please adopt it. The natural open space zone definition omits provisions to put a road through the spur. This is in line with the Wellington region's future development strategy, which plans for urban growth over the next 30 years in other areas of the Wellington region, but not the hills of Pinehaven and Silverstream. Indeed, Upper Hutt has had more than its fair share of growth over the last 10 years. It is time to let other areas grow. You might not like that, then you know. Nevertheless, council staff and the commissioners have noted that existing provisions in other parts of the district plan may allow for infrastructure such as road. That may be so, but I hope the council and council staff have noted the strong community opposition to a road through the spur and that other road options being considered. I look forward to a new era in the management of the spur. Establish a co-management group
add the Kiln Street paper road to the open space area, remove the pines, plant native trees, control predators, make life safe for kiwi and geckos. As commuters gaze at the spur out the train window, they will see flocks of karuru and boisterous tui enjoying this wonderful protected space. It's your decision to make, Mayor and councillors.
Any questions for Pat? Interested in your comment, Pat, about no growth. We have no choice. The present government has said that any tier 1 council has to project housing for 30 years.
Does it take into account the extreme amount of growth that's occurred in the last 10 years?
I'm sure they have, but it makes no, we've just classified under tier 1 councils, which we are part of, and we have to make provision for future housing for 30 years out. If we don't, I suspect, I'm not sure whether they've said it, but I suspect they'll make it for us. So they will make the choice for us. Yeah, so, but it's just part of the area we operate. There's no threat involved. I'm just stating a fact.
Is it relevant to this?
And I'm just asking a question that Pat mentioned. I said we operate in an area where tier 1 cities have to project and have zoning for housing for 30 years.
I don't believe you asked that question. Thank you.
I'd like to table this.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, more than the next 30.
Okay, let's now move to item 4, which is proposed district plan change 47 natural hazards. Director, can you got any comments to make?
Thank you.
Any updates?
Look, I'll just get my comment brief. I just wanted to, I suppose at the outset, just acknowledge that regional council has mentioned this change one. As is set out in the report, officers are comfortable that there is alignment there with the recommended version that is going to regional council tomorrow. However, officers are scheduled and will be watching that decision. And if there was a material change as a result of that decision, we would be council. And no other, your worship, was just simply as an overarching comment, just to note that the panel recommendation was simply that there were no further changes with the officers' recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments, Councillor Deputy Mayor Swales?
Thank you for clarifying that plan change 1 is going to be decided tomorrow, but we're still waiting for a national plan, right, that comes. So do we have any idea or indication of the timeline of that? Should we be out of sync with what they're doing? Once again, you'll come back to council and give us the recommendations and make those amendments so that they are active as soon as the royal assent goes through.
Through you. Yes, that is the case. We're obliged to maintain our alignment with national direction. So if and when those change, absolutely, that's a natural part of that process. That one, we're monitoring those, and 2, we will be obliged to fulfil our statutory obligations, and of course, absolutely, we'll come back to council.
Thank you. I have another question. So you said that we were in line with our submission to plan change 1 that the regional council are looking at. My one concern is that rubbing point or a point of contention that we've had between us and them has been the qualification of peatlands. So we're comfortable that where we've landed is where they're going to land with plan change 47.
Through answering through your worship. Look, I'll take this question, and if the team want to jump in, absolutely welcome to do so. I mean, obviously the paper and that decision is being considered tomorrow, but as it stands and as it is recommended to the regional council, yes, we're comfortable with that from an officer's perspective. But as I say, we will certainly be observing how that decision plays out tomorrow.
Councillor Carey?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Firstly, just a thank you to the team and a well done for the amount of remapping and reconsideration they did on the sort of geospatial extent for the slopes. I guess that was really appreciated. A couple of questions. The first one, I suppose, is if I talk to the earthquake risk and fault lines, and we have I guess, different mapping overlay to what you can see on the GNS website as to where faults are or where they're seeing faults are. So, is that an issue? What is our approach? How does it differ to their advice?
Through your worship, I'll pick this question up, but obviously the staff want to join me in elaborating. It's welcome to do so. As the council will be aware, we need to satisfy the section 32, the evidential tests, in order of proposing these provisions, and as they see their way through the process. Here we are today, accepting your decision. There are numerous examples of where there is information that is held, a variety of research particularly at regional scale, even national scale, where that information would not satisfy the evidential test that this council needs to satisfy in terms of district medical measures. So that explains some of that differential.
So,
yeah, Councillor Keary, you all right?
no, that's all right. Your worship. If there looks like a supplementary, I'll come back.
Can I just acknowledge Councillor Keary too for being on thing? Councillor Keary's not here. He has a bereavement in the family with whānau. So thank you for being part of it. Yeah, thoughts with the family.
Thank you.
Councillor Carson.
Thank you. Let's turn to page 31, which is the methods, including the panel strongly recommends the council undertake further analysis of the effects of climate change and land slips and soil erosion in the Upper Hutt district as part of the future update of the slope hazard overlay. The recommendations say adopts the following, which is section 1 recommendation. So we're approving a recommendation of a recommendation. You know what I mean? So I would like it more specific, and though while approving the recommendations in appendix 1, we add a further recommendation, which will be A, B, C, D, F, G, which actually brings out our 11.3 on page 31, that the Upper Hutt City Council will, as part of a future update of the slope hazard overlay, undertake a further analysis of the effects of the climate change and land shifts and soil erosion, which makes it quite explicit.
Sure. If I may just comment on that particular point. That particular provision, just for anyone else, page 31 in para 11.3, which I believe the council has picked up on this point. Beyond that, the panel made some commentary in relation to matters that extended beyond Plan Change 47, and that is one of them. But I understand the intent of Councillor Carson was to pick up that quick clarity. Just wanted to make that motion.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Holderness? No, Councillor Keary, sorry.
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm not very quick with the mouse or the hand action. I guess I got a question, or potentially just a comment on page 235, just around the risk for the natural hazards. I suppose it actually speaks to one of the comments earlier in the public forum, but the risk being both the likelihood and consequence I accept, but I think the wording around the natural hazards, for me, it's a natural event. The hazard is putting us in front of that event when it occurs. And so is there potentially something that some of the wording change in there that could acknowledge actually that, this is around protecting both ourselves and reducing the likelihood of any of these natural events creating a hazard. I guess it sets the messages wrong, right? That these events are a hazard in their own right.
If I may comment on that, just taking that comment or question in a broader sense, in terms of potential amendments that perhaps members or the council generally may want to consider. Certainly it's always guided by scope of submissions, scope of the matter before the council for decision making. I'd probably need to, I wasn't entirely clear of perhaps a wording change or a definition change that perhaps Councillor Keary was exploring or suggesting there, but I'm happy to consider that whilst we hear if that is a proposition, but I just express caution in terms of scope.
Okay, yeah, acknowledge. I guess in terms of it, for me, it would probably, it's not consequential. I just think it's I'll have a think of some words on there potentially, but I don't want it to derail this. I think it's good work generally.
Thank you. Councillor Holderness.
Thank you, Worship, through you. I just had a question around the geotechnical assessments that will be required and about how we ensure consistency of the assessments, given that I'm assuming it's for the individuals to undertake those through different parties. So my question is around how do we ensure the consistency of the reports?
Sorry, just in terms of response to that matter, yes, councillor is correct in that it is an applicant that would be responsible for the provision of that geotech assessment. And naturally, as part of that consenting process, that would be reviewed by officers and a specialist. And in addition to that, if there was a concern, certainly we have, certainly there's accepted methodologies. Certainly there is the ability to request further information, but also have that independently peer reviewed. And if necessary, if there was, if I may describe it as a loggerheads on both methodology and the advice in that geotech report, an ability for an independent geotechnical assessment as well to help that consenting process.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor Carey?
No,
Okay.
He's
muted,
talking, but we can't hear him.
Sorry. The last one that I have, and sorry, I'm trying to scroll to the pages, but it's effectively down in the rules where we're covering hazard and potential hazard activities. And why do we not include network utility sort of lifeline provisions within those when, I guess, if there's an interruption to those as a result of those hazards, that's quite widespread and impactful?
Your Worship, the way that the provisions operate is they operate in conjunction with both the broader infrastructure provisions in concert with these specific hazard provisions. And of course, there are, within the scope of the regional council itself, also has its own regulatory function in terms of broader regionally significant infrastructure.
Okay. No further comments? Then do we have the recommendations before us? Do we have any?
Happy to move.
Happy to move, Councillor Carey. We have a seconder. Seconder of Councillor Bentley. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The contrary no. And carry. Now move to item 5, which is the proposed plan change 49. Open spaces and variation 1, plan change 49, Spur. Director, any updates or anything, comment you'd like to make?
Worship, there's a lot that could be said on plan change 49 variation 1. And look, I had prepared a variety of things that I was going to say. Look, ultimately, I think, I guess I just want to take the opportunity to just acknowledge the and the panel's recommendations are clear, and I just simply wanted to note really that in addition to that, we're supported by which obviously set out some of the advice that we took in preparing this paper. And again, the point that I made in relation to page 7 applies here in terms of just simply acknowledging that tomorrow the regional council is meeting to hear change 1 and make decisions potentially on change after that. Yes. And simply to say that officers again will be reviewing that. We don't consider that there should be any misalignment of union.
Thank you. Now, any comments, any questions? Councillor Newell?
Your Worship, I just feel that we've heard a lot of people critiquing the Guildford company. And I want to say that they first came, as far as I know, because I was here, they first came to council to present their concepts back in the 1990s. And so when we talk about the community, they were in fact planting trees up there way, way back. And so they are also part of our community. And so, yeah, I just think we should make a note that they too have a right to put their viewpoint to what we do and what might happen in that particular area.
Thank you. Any further comments? Any questions? Deputy Mayor Swales.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a question on page 371. It's around paragraph 52, and it's talking about the submission that Waka Kotahi put on the table. And it said that it would remove it from this particular plan change because there would be a future plan change where this would come into. I've looked at the timeline of our plan changes, and I see that we've got infrastructure planning instrument, which is the next one that we go to with regard after this. But under infrastructure, does the traffic chapter come into that as well? I'd just like a point of clarification. And if it is that when para 52 will be discussed?
Through Your Worship, yes, that is the case. That is the case, you're correct.
Councillor Ultra.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to ask about the comprehensive review of the transport chapter on page 442. It says that as part of the review of the district plan, there'd be a 2024 citywide transport plan, and I just wondered if we know a date that could start.
Through you, Worship. I think this current question and the last are exploring the same point, acknowledging what was collectively presented to the panel in relation to not wanting to take a piecemeal approach to transport and infrastructure provisions. And Deputy Mayor was correct in terms of where that's currently programmed. Look, and it may or may not be that in addition to perhaps any decisions taken today, additional steer from council around the prioritisation of the review of those provisions in the rolling review. But certainly from an officer's perspective, they are priority provisions for review in our rolling programme.
Any further questions? Councillor Ultra.
Thank you, Your Worship. On page 515, there was also a 0.604. We've got the inclusion of an accidental discovery protocol to the provisions for the Silverstream Spur, and that and 608 says that council may wish to investigate the protocol incorporation of an accidental discovery protocol into the district-wide earthworks. So I'm just wondering if we are going to pursue that, because it's not a requirement as such, but something that we may wish to do.
Really, Bishop. That, just for context, that particular matter was around scope of submission. So effectively what the panel was saying is that there was merit, but that they were limited by scope. And to answer Councillor Ultra's question, yes, and what we have scheduled is both. There is I believe it's the landscape and earthworks chapter in terms of the rolling view, but we do also have the sites and significance to Maori as well as topics. And certainly from an officer's perspective, those are important provisions to deal with as a priority.
Any further questions or comments? And you have recommendations before you, Councillor Bentley. Happy to move the recommendations as there from A through to H, noting the withdrawals from the following sites as part of that. H, we have a mover, we have a seconder in Councillor Swales. Further comments, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Copy no. It's been carried. Thank you. And we now move, and can I thank you? Thank you, why not? Just say thanks to the commissioners for the they did, and thank you for coming this afternoon. Thank you. We now move to item 6, which is the private road naming. Private road naming there, as we have information to put. I'm intrigued though by what it says here that the Mamaku is a native large fern with black stalk leaves and is common in the area. Mamaku, I don't see how many areas are common. I don't see too much. I'm only asking a question. No one knows, is it?
Well, we have forest and bird here, it's not Spur.
No, it's around here in Key Street.
Oh, it used to be probably.
Doesn't say used to be, it says here, large fern with black stalk leaves. I understand that is common in the area.
Depends on your definition of area.
Oh, okay. So the recommendation here is it's for Mamaku place. Actually, one of the things that would be worthwhile having though when this team does that is because it's just adding how many places around the country. We used to get that information, like if there's 10, where I missed it.
It says that there was,
I read it about 10 times.
I read it there somewhere. Yeah, the names have been checked against the Land Information Street Name Database to ensure it has no adverse Maori meaning.
No, I understand it, but no, saying whether there's 10 or 20 or 300 around the country.
Or similar road names within the Hutt Valley itself.
So, because you can get that mate quite easily, can't you, from them. Yeah, it might be worthwhile adding it, and you get a feel whether, you know, there's no point if there's 150 of them and they ring up police and, you know, Mamaku police, you know, in Otaki or Auckland or whatever. Okay? So I'm happy to move that recommendation. Any comments? Seconded by Councillor Griffiths. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. Sorry, can we, if you, so we can carry on, you can talk outside, no problem, but thanks. Is it?
Yes.
Mamaku
That's the
place.
street.
Thank you. Mate, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now move to the confirmation of the council minutes, which occurred on which was on the 7th of August. Are there any items to be discussed? Then I'm happy to move. We have a seconder and Councillor Wheeler. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Been carried. We now move. Thank you. Sorry. Now move to the. Sorry. That doorstop that dog had hit dropped, scared the heart of me. Yeah. We now move to the city services, which is on the 21st of August. And any items to be discussed? Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like our citizens committee to confirm the record of the meeting held on 21st of August 2024. It's a true and correct record of the meeting. It's all true.
Moved by Councillor Wheeler, seconded by Councillor. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to adopt the recommendations of that meeting. Happy to move, seconded by Councillor Wheeler. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the Risk and Assurance Committee, which was occurred on the 28th of August. And there is a correction that needs to be confirmed and adopted. So I call on Director Kate Thompson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Paragraph 5 in the minutes includes the words inclusive of GST. There's a change we wish to make to say exclude GST. And there's a second change, which is we have brought forward all the acronyms to the front of the document as recommended by the committee.
Thank you very much. Is there any items to be discussed? Councillor Carson.
Thank you. Yeah, I move that the Risk and Assurance Committee request that officers have a note to the meeting record to confirm that GST is excluded from the delegation register. B, ask the committee to receive the amended delegations register, and C, request a copy of the amended delegations register being added to the record of the meeting. I'll call for a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Swales.
So we now have a mover and Councillor Carson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Swales. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. We now move to adopt the recommendations. That meeting.
Councillor Wilson needs to give us the committee.
Sorry, back to Councillor Carson.
I ask the Risk and Assurance Committee to confirm that the record of the meeting held on 28th of August 2024, as amended, is a true and corrected record of the meeting. Call for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Bentley.
Moved by Councillor Carson, seconded by Councillor Bentley. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, it's been carried. We now move to adopt the recommendations of the Risk and Assurance Committee. Happy to move, seconded by Councillor Carson. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. We can still hear you, Emma, Councillor Holness and Kerry. We now move to the Policy Committee, which was held on the 4th of September. Are there any items to be discussed? Councillor Newell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I ask the Policy Committee to confirm that the record of the meeting held on 4th September is true and correct record of the meeting. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Griffiths.
Moved by Councillor Newell, seconded by Councillor Griffiths. All those in favour say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move. Council adopts the recommendations of the Policy Committee. Happy to move. Moved by Councillor Newell, seconded by Councillor Hammond. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the Finance and Performance Committee, which was held on the 11th of September. Are there any items to be discussed? Then I move Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I ask the Finance and Performance Committee to confirm that the record of the meeting held on September the 11th, 2024 is a true and correct record of the meeting. Can I have a second?
Moved by Councillor Bentley, seconded by Councillor Wheeler. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to adopt the recommendations of the Finance and Performance Committee on the 11th of September. Moved by Councillor Bentley, seconded by Councillor Hammond. All those in favour say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to I move that we receive, that's item 9, to receive the schedule of documents sealed and confirm the actions recorded and approve the fixing of the common seal to all relevant documents. Happy to move it. Have a seconder and Councillor Griffiths. All those in favour say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. Been carried. We now move to public excluded. Move again. Councillor Griffiths. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. You just wait.